at Ball State. She's an all-time leading scorer in Valparaiso history, and she's only built off her 21 points from last year with more 21-point average this year.
Yeah, Lily's one of those players that if she felt like it, she could score 40. She just doesn't play that way. She plays an all-around floor game. She is a great player, and she's had a heck of a career here over the last 4 years. So she's a handful. But the thing that makes the Vikings special this year is they got 4 other girls that can play with her. So they got a really nice team. Three senior starters, 2 juniors. They're pretty good.
Yeah, Cadence Clark, who's committed to play at Grace, and then Delilah Kincaid has really stepped up this year. We'll talk more about them later as we go through the starting lineup of the Chesterton Trojans. And while you and I saw Chesterton play earlier this year against Portage, and something that you and I talked about is that this team lost their leading scorer before the season even started, but they've seen some players really step up and fill up that role.
Yeah, they have, and you know, they've had some consistency issues, but their season's been they're 15-7. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat, and they haven't beat the teams that on paper they weren't supposed to beat. So they play a lot of young kids. Physically, they're not very big. You know, they don't have any kind of post presence at all. So we'll see how it goes. Speaking of Valpo legends, Kristen Peterson, Kristen Follis back in the day when this was Kristen Follis' gym. How are you?
We're going through the starting lineup of the Chesterton Trojans. As Wally mentioned, they are 15-7. They finished 3rd in the DAC at 5-2 losses to Valpo and Crown Point. A little note to our Region Sports Network viewers, we'll also be covering the Morton versus Crown Point game tonight as they open up sectionals. Wally, this is a fantastic way to start off this sectional.
Yeah, it is. And it's one of those things where if you're Chesterton, you're saying, all right, Valpo is the best team in the sectional. When do we want to play them? Now, with the way the draw is, you don't have a vote, so you get to play them week 1. Well, good, you got a couple of days to prepare. So at the end of the day, Valpo is the team to beat in this sectional. They're a prohibitive favorite, but I'm pretty sure that the Chesterton girls aren't going to just forfeit.
Valpo has won 8 games in a row against these Chesterton Trojans. Knocked them out the last 3 years and are trying to win a 4th straight sectional championship. First time since the early 90s. There's an attack by McGuffey. Kick it out. White ring 3, and it gets nothing but glass. And Valparaiso will clear the miss.
Yeah, and Valparaiso coming out in a little matchup. They're going to play. Both of these teams are going to play a ton of different defenses. Chesterton is predominantly a 1-3-1 team, but they're going to do a lot of different things today.
Step into a 3, and they're going to call a travel on Cheyenne Brown.
So the first time these two played, Cheyenne Brown and Delilah Kincaid were huge in the game. They owned the glass. Valparaiso had a huge rebounding effort, but the star of the game in the first time they played was Cadence Clark, who hit 5 threes, 4 in the first half, and obviously Chesterton's going to be aware that she's a very good shooter.
Yeah, in that game, the Vikings out-rebounded Chesterton 37-15, and then offensive rebound.
Nice pass.
It's a good pass down low, and the finish.
Good lift by McGuffey. Reese Delbeck making a little baseline cut. Good start.
Delbeck scores from the right block. The first quarter was a pretty close one, as Chesterton actually led after 1 in their previous matchup. The Vikings would outscore them by a lot after that, 50-22. Barnes, mid-range jumper, it's pure.
Yeah, and so I'm pretty sure the idea behind this zone here is to try to prevent Lily from driving to the basket all the time.
Delbeck taking it to the cup, and she can't get the roll.
That's right, it's a good shot. You know, Reese has been pretty aggressive. Nice pass.
A whip inside, good contest, and a miss by Kincaid.
And that's one of the things that you see from Lily Barnes that you don't see from a lot of girls basketball players, or guys for that matter, is that one-handed pass off the dribble. She's really special.
Barnes, a 4-star recruit, has racked up the accolades here at Valparaiso, and a body bump to Ella Boyansky. She'll go to the line. No, they're going to change it to a travel. So a turnover. Yeah, for Barnes, her stats go like this. Over 1,900 points, all-time leading scorer in Vikings girls history. 700 rebounds, 500 steals, 500 assists, and 100 blocks.
And when you're the all-time leading scorer at Valparaiso, whether it be girls or boys, you're pretty good because there's been a lot of good players that have come through this gym.
Chesterton got the steal and then gave it right back. Cheyenne Brown with a bad dribble, and she was fouled from behind. No, they're going to say it's a foul on Brown.
That's a huge call for Chesterton. Reese Dilbeck and Cheyenne getting a little roll around on the ground, and Valparaiso comes away with a foul.
Good student section coming out for Valparaiso on that far side, and they're going to pin Novia Brandon for traveling.
See, and Valpo's right now, they're lifted their half-court man-to-man. They're picking up at half-court, making it difficult for Chesterton to get into what they're doing because it's happened to extend it away from the basket.
Barnes running the offense for the Vikings. She's calling for a screen. Sends down the left wing.
Yeah, so Chesterton traditionally plays a lot of 1-3-1. Right now they're playing a 2-3, kind of matching up a little bit.
Brown takes it to the teeth of the defense. The floater rolls off the rim. She pulls down the rebound, and the ball gets deflected out of bounds. And that's got to be the big key for Chesterton. As you mentioned, don't allow the Vikings to get second chance looks.
Yeah, rebounding is a big issue for them today. And a lot of times Kincaid and Cheyenne Brown get offensive rebounds just because they hustle and play hard. So Chesterton's going to have to try to match that. That's a rough matchup for Nevaeh.
They feed it down low. It's a missed shot, pulled back down, and a foul. As Delilah Kincaid will go to the charity stripe.
Yeah, Kincaid did a really good job of sealing off Nevaeh Brandon on her back. Nevaeh got in trouble, tried to get around the post up, and too little too late. That's not a great matchup with Chesterton's point guard guarding Valpo's post player.
The Vikings come in as the hottest team in this sectional. They've won 9 in a row with a 27.8 average margin of victory. How they've done that? Out-rebounding teams and, of course, racking up the steals. Going 1 for 2 is Brown.
Good. They do a lot of different things here. It's a different press.
Almost had a steal there. And they finally rip it away. Vikings pushing the tempo, stepping into a 3. It's left short. Offensive rebound. Barnes dribbling with the left hand, finding the baseline. One-handed pass into the corner. Heaved up. Too long. Barnes with a rebound. Pass down low. The bump in the buckets.
Well, one of the things that makes it difficult when you're a zone is boxing out.
Yes.
And you know, right now, Chesterton's not doing a real good job of finding bodies in black shirts and getting the body on them. And so because of that, Valparaiso's getting several opportunities in each possession.
It looks like the star freshman of the Chesterton Trojans, Ella Boyansky, is going to have to head off the floor. Maybe a little bit of blood on the top of her head when she hit the ground when she lost the ball. Addison Pack, a sophomore, has run into the game. And there's a three-point play for Delilah Kincaid.
All right, so now they switch. They're in a 2-2-1. So Kelly Kratz is doing a really nice job of switching up defenses here. And, you know, Valparaiso's not really trapping a ton out of the press.
And a steal. The Vikings are not making it easy for Chesterton. Because right now, Chesterton can't even get a shot up. It's a feed into the post. Brown, head fake, gets around some defenders, but Allison Van Clay puts her hand on the ball and gets a steal.
And we're looking at about 3 possessions in a row here where Chesterton, Nevaeh from downtown.
Number 3, can't get a 3, offensive rebound. Chesterton staying alive. Brandon sets it up back top. That's a deep 3 off the back iron. And Chesterton crowds in another offensive rebound. Dilbeck gets the contact, and Reese Dilbeck is putting in some work for the Trojans.
Yeah, we saw them play last week against Crown Point, and Reese had a spurt in the second half where she did a lot of really good things. And right now she's doing the dirty work for Chesterton.
And you and I have been talking about it, the rebounding. You really have to rely on Reese Dilbeck to have a big offensive rebounding day, as she leads the team in that category, averaging 4.1 this year.
Yeah, and that's one of those, you know, she's a play hard kid, you know what I mean? Like, she gives great effort all the time, and a lot of times rebounding is simply nothing more than effort.
She ended up scoring 10 points in the loss against Crown Point. As Dilbeck goes 1 for 2 at the line, she has all 3 points for Chesterton. The feed down into the paint and a missed shot. Ball tipped out of bounds as Kincaid has to be a bit frustrated. She didn't convert the look down low.
And, and part of the problem I guess you have here is Cheyenne Brown and Kincaid are so strong, and Chesterton is small. And they're just muscling them and getting good position under the basket.
And Barnes was wide open. Straightaway three. Almost jammied. And a blocked shot. Novia Brandon says, not today. Good effort there from Chesterton. They have a chance to tie the game here.
Yeah, Lily Barnes doesn't get enough credit for how good of an on-ball defender she is. She's very athletic and really strong. She makes it difficult for people to do a lot with the ball.
She's guarding McGuffey, and because of that pressure from Barnes, she forced a bad pass from McGuffey, and yet another Chesterton turnover.
The Vikings are a very old team. They start 3 seniors and 2 juniors, but those are all kids that got tons of minutes last year when they won the regional and lost in the semi-state. So this is a veteran bunch. They're not going to beat themselves. Chesterton's going to need to do. They got to hit free throws. So, they're going to have to get some officiating or some calls to go their way.
Kincaid from downtown. She gets the roll. And this place erupts every time the Vikings make a nice play. And almost was saved, but it'll stay with Chesterton. Hustle play by Cadence Clark, the commit to Grace College.
Yeah, Chesterton's got to get somebody in the middle of the floor.
For Chesterton in their game against Valparaiso back in December, they turned the ball over 27 times. They got to cut down that number if they want to have a fighting chance of moving on to play Hobart in the next round. Brandon dribbling it away. Defense tightly contesting her, not making it easy. Having a hard time breathing. Trap coming. Brandon was able to regain the ball, pass down low, missed shot, and Reese Delbeck has secured some rebounds and she'll go to the line again.
Yeah, Delilah Cade came running out of nowhere and went and trapped the ball. Nevaeh did a good job of splitting it and getting it to Reese under the basket. She wasn't able to finish, but she did get it. That's the 3rd foul that she's picked up already in this quarter.
Four points for Reese Delbeck and for the Chesterton Trojans, as Delbeck shooting 60% from the free throw line this year. And in the game against Valpo earlier this year, she only scored 5. So if she makes this free throw, she already matches that mark. She does. Of course, Chesterton will need other players to step up if they're going to get in this game against Valpo. They're down 4 at the moment, as Barnes has played more facilitator than scorer.
Yeah, and that's the kind of player she is. And when the game's all said and done, she'll have 20, but it won't seem like it because she doesn't force it. But when the game is on the line and when there's a big basket that needs to be...
Clark buries the 3, and Candy Wilson is not happy. She clamps her hands together in frustration as the Vikings have made it a 7-point game.
So Valpo becomes really dangerous when the players not named Lily Barnes get hot and score. And that, one of the things for them is, I know Kelly's looking for balance. When they get all 5 players involved, they're a tough team to beat.
McGuffey, the leading scorer for Chesterton, in the corner. Just dribbling, and they call it for 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's 2 officials, both 5 feet away from the ball. One calls it, one doesn't. I don't.
And for Lindsay McGuffey, she averaged 5.7 points last year, jumped up to 12 this year.
Delbeck needs to get up a little bit higher right now in this 2-3 into the high post.
Barnes on the elbow. 3 coming up. It's off, and Delbeck with the rebound. She's already racked up a good amount of those in this first quarter. McGuffey gets blocked, but they're going to say they fouled her.
Yeah, and, you don't want to foul somebody that's shooting an NBA 3, and
yes,
Lily went for the block. But one of the things I've noticed with her over the last couple of years is she gets in foul trouble, she plays anyway, and it doesn't change how she plays. She's a veteran. She knows.
So this will be 3 free throws for Lindsay McGuffey.
Yeah, she's a really good shooter.
I sure hope so. Read that story about McGuffey when she first got to Chesterton. Is she's waking up at 6 a.m. and convincing her parents, Kevin and Rachel, to drive her to Chesterton to get over 200, 300 shots up from the mid-range and three-point land. And that's how she was able to carve out some minutes as a freshman on a pretty good Chesterton team. And the way that she scores it, she might be the future of this team for years to come. She's only a sophomore, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, right now on the floor for Chesterton, you got one senior.
Yes.
One senior, a junior, two sophomores, and a freshman. So they got young kids, but your age doesn't matter tonight.
Back up top, Barnes from downtown. Barnes misses the shot. Ball rolls out. They'll stay with Valpo.
You end up sometimes defensively here when you're in the zone trying to rebound from just the position that you're in. And Chesterton needs to get a body on people.
Brown inbounds it. Barnes. Clark back to Barnes. You're mentioning how young this Chesterton team is. You look at their top 9 scorers. 5 of them are sophomores. The three is trickled down by Cheyenne Brown.
And I want to say that's their 4th three from 4 different players.
And a steal. Recovered back by Chesterton after Barnes couldn't bring in the pass. And Kincaid fouls Boyansky about a good 80 feet from the basket. That's the 5th. So not only is it a costly foul, it will allow Chesterton to shoot free throws.
Well, and that's one of the things that Valparaiso's done during the year is they swarm you with the defense early, get out to a big lead, and just kind of beat you into submission. And so if Chesterton can weather the storm here, they're going to have a chance to stay in the game.
Boyansky, in her own right, is averaging 9.8 points as a freshman. But back to that point, top 9 scorers on Chesterton this year. 2 freshmen, 5 sophomores, 1 junior, and 1 senior. That being Allison Van Clay. Clark fouled as she was fed by Lillian Barnes in transition.
Yeah, it's a young roster at Chesterton. They only have 2 seniors on the roster.
Yes.
Van Clay and Addison Glossinger. In their 1-3-1, Van Clyde's really important because she's the one girl that's got some length. So she plays up at the top. She's a cross-country and track star there, so she's one of those kids that can run all day. So when they're in their 1-3-1, she's really valuable for them. They haven't played it yet.
You get this Chesterton team, how young they are. Crown Point playing tonight. They're extremely young. I feel like those 2 teams have a real good shot of running the DAC for the next few years. Going 1 for 2 is Clark. Jump ball. Possession arrow belongs to the Vikings. So we'll stay right here, and the Vikings will inbound it underneath the basket.
Well, and as much as things change, they stay the same. That Crown Point's got good middle school programs and good feeder programs, so they're always going to be in the discussion. Lake Central's going to be the same way. Valparaiso's 8th graders are better than everybody in the conference right now, so nobody's going to feel sorry for them for some graduation.
Brandon hustling for the ball, can't save it in time, and the Vikings will now inbound it from the side out.
So I think if you're Chesterton, you say, we're going to come out, we're going to play this 2-3 and see if somebody other than Lily can beat us. And so far for Valparaiso, somebody other than Lily has beat them because they've hit threes from a bunch of different spots.
Time running out from the volleyball line. Way off. The first quarter comes to an end with the Vikings draining some threes, and they lead by 8 heading into the second. As you're watching Game Night on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Since 1998, customers have enjoyed Chicago dogs, Italian beef, burgers, Polish, and of course the gyros, all from the original George's Gyro Spot in Chesterton. Located at 325 North Calumet Road, George's Gyro Spot prides itself on fast, friendly service at affordable prices. Open 7 days a week, George's Gyro Spot offers dine-in or carry-out. To place an order, call 219-926-5435 or go to georgesgyrospot.com to check out their menu and to place your online order. The original George's Gyro Spot.
Have you heard? Stratton-Manteau was voted Best of the Region 2025 in several categories, including Best Caterer, Deli, Flower Shop, Food and Grocery Delivery, Fried Chicken, Place to Buy Produce, Place to Buy Seafood, Loyalty Program, and Grocery Store. We're proud to be recognized by our community, and we're committed to continuing to deliver the variety, value, and convenience you deserve. See for yourself what it means to be the best when you shop at Stratton-Manteau.
A note to our Chesterton viewers, George's original Euro spot is presenting RSN game night coverage of tonight's Chesterton game right here on the Region Sports Network. George's Euro spot, the original George Euro spot in Chesterton, 219-926-5435. Andrew Mile with Wally McCormick. Wally, what was your impressions of the first quarter? As Barnes gets a steal to open up the second.
Yeah, and that kind of typifies the first quarter. Valparaiso's defense giving them opportunities, and their dominance on the board. Throw that in with 4 3-pointers, and it's a recipe for success for Valparaiso.
It was Kincaid that received the pass, went up for the layup, and was fouled. They put that one on Van Clay.
Yeah, so Van Clyde's going to sit down, and Taylor Kizik, the sophomore, is going to come in and replace her.
So an early substitution in this second quarter for the Chesterton Trojans. 5 of those 8 points were scored by Reese Delbeck for Chesterton. Kincaid goes 2 for 2. The 10-point lead for Vikings. There's that press again. Not an easy one to navigate your way through. Bad pass over the head of Boyansky, as that was a newly checked in Taylor Kissick. And a timeout called by Coach Wilson. It'll be
it's like a
30-second timeout. We'll stay right here.
You know, at some point against this press, somebody's got to be, like at half court, you catch the ball around half court, you got to be able to put it on the floor and dribble across.
Yes.
You know, that putting the ball above your head and throwing skip passes is a bad recipe.
Well, it's now a few times where they went for that overhead skip pass and it sailed over the head of the intended target.
Yep.
And for the Vikings, they'll gladly take that every single time.
You know, and I think it comes down to confidence and a little bit of nerves. These younger girls, you know, the Valparaiso kids are in a been here, done that kind of mode. You know, they've got big goals, big aspirations. There's a lot of young girls. You know, there's a couple girls on the floor right now for Chesterton that were playing middle school basketball last year, so that's quite a jump. All right, so Chesterton now goes back to their 1-3-1, which is
a good pass. Barnes wide open as Clark found her. The senior connection. It's a 12-point lead. It keeps growing for the hometown Vikings.
Yeah, something tells me that the Vikings were waiting for that 1-3-1 to run that set play.
Chesterton able to break the press, but then threw it, and that'll be a backcourt violation. And once again, there's another Chesterton turnover, just way too many of them for Candy Wilson's liking.
Yeah, Chesterton's really struggling with the pressure from Valparaiso.
Well, it's one thing to be playing your first sectional game and experience Hoosier hysteria, but you're doing it on the road in Valpo with a hostile environment. Barnes with 5 points in the second quarter.
So Valpo's got 15 points now off of threes.
Ball tipped out. Kincaid in the deflection. A stat that they track at Valparaiso.
Yeah, so what Valparaiso's doing is they're, on this odd front press, they're blitzing out of it. So they're taking away the reversal, and they're taking away the middle, and they're taking away the side lane. So the pass they're giving Chesterton is that long diagonal pass, and thus far Chesterton hasn't been able to throw it. So now they have the same kind of issue here, except it's a half-court trap.
It's been a long time since we've seen Chesterton even attempt to take a shot, let alone score. Delbeck from the mid-range, high arcing shot, sails over.
Good look up by Clark.
Kincaid from the mid-range, she can't get it to go. Boyansky will corral the rebound and send us the other way. And a steal, Barnes poking away from Brandon. She'll take it herself. And Lily Barnes is on a 7-0 run.
Right, and so Valparaiso's changing presses off of makes. The good thing for them is they're scoring, so they're getting to set up their defense. Against misses, they just play man.
The Vikings stole the ball away again. Taking their time here. Up 17, they slow the game down. Barnes, top of the key. Clark found her for an assist earlier. Clark steps out. Here's a three. Got it!
Oh, she's on the line. That's going to be a 2.
Delilah Kincaid with a long 2, as Wally points out.
So here's that out front press again. So that time they didn't take away the reversal. You got to... it's one thing to prepare against the press at practice on air. It's another thing to be able to read through a double team to see where's the third defender rotating over him.
There's one thing to be running against your scout team in an empty gym where it's pretty quiet, but then go up against the Vikings who have ran this to perfection with their defensive chemistry and then that very loud, rambunctious student section over on the far side from us.
Yeah, and I'd say that the Valparaiso kids are, poised to try to make a back cut. Oh, header.
Barnes taking him off the dribble. Corner 3 hoisted up. It's slightly off. Loose ball. And there is a bump, but no foul as the ball rolls into the hands of the Trojans. And Lillian Barnes with an athletic play.
And that's Macy Pack, another freshman for Chesterton. And that's a pass she could make last year in a middle school game, but this year against a Division I player, that's not so much.
A 4-star Division I player as Barnes misses her second shot on this possession, and they're going to say that it was being touched by Alyssa Bergler while the foot was out of bounds.
Again, at some point, Chesterton's going to have to rip across and face the pressure and try to beat it up the sideline off the dribble.
Well, it almost feels like the Chesterton players are so nervous right now, they don't want the ball. They just want to get rid of it as quickly as possible and hope. Chesterton needs this one. They got it. That was a big 3 by Ella Boyansky.
Yeah, Chesterton desperately needed a basket there.
As their fans have erupted on this side, making it a 16-point game, but maybe that's the 3 they need to go on a run. Barnes attacked the middle of that defense, went back out. Barnes between the legs.
Chesterton switched this possession. They're playing man-to-man.
In and out game, 3 goes down, and a foul.
Yeah, I think away from the ball, they're going to call Allison Van Cly.
If that is on Van Cly, that'll be her 3rd foul, and it is. She's up to 3 fouls already.
So Chesterton switches to man-to-man that possession, and the difficult part about Lily is she can beat your people off the dribble, and when she beats people off the dribble, you got to help and rotate. You get a kick out for an easy jump shot.
That was Bergler with a 3-point jumper. The 19-point game, and the Vikings will get the ball down under due to the foul from Van Clay. This could turn into a 6-point possession for the Vikings.
Yeah, and that takes away the senior for Chesterton that plays the most minutes.
Swinging around. Can she do it again? No. The Vikings will get an offensive rebound and a carry. Allison Sedovich.
Sedovich is quick. That was a good drive to the basket. Just dribble got a little bit away from her.
Vikings coming off a massive win against Munster where they won 69-25 to extend their win streak to 9 straight. Have an opportunity to go to 10 straight wins and then get a date with Hobart on Friday, because there's nowhere to go for McGuffey. 3-pointer, way off. Being tipped out of the paint, a bump, and out of bounds is the Vikings player as she collided with Pack.
Yeah, McGuffey's lucky she didn't draw a foul on that one. Valpo's so disruptive right now, just running people at the ball and trapping, and it's really taken Chesterton out of any kind of sets or any plays. They're really struggling on offense right now. Because when it comes down to this, you got to be able to just play. Some teams run a lot of sets, and the coach is telling them what to do and run to here and screen this person. And when the game gets in this scramble situation, you got to be able to just play and attack the basket.
Novea Brandon walked.
It's one of those things, you hate to oversimplify it, but it really is that simple. If you're getting double teamed, somebody's open.
Yes.
And sometimes that pass is a long diagonal pass where those people need to flash to the center of the court to make themselves visible so that they can be a part of the ball. And Valpo's defense has been really impressive so far this half.
See a lot of traps, and then the Chesterton players go in that scramble mode you talk about, and then it leads to a Valparaiso turnover, and that's how they've been able to shut down this Chesterton offense in the first half. Racking up the steals, the turnovers, if you will. And they're starting to show why they're heavy favorites to win this sectional. Dilbeck out in front, and a foul before the shot.
Cheyenne Brown.
As Brown was in a foot race and took the foul before the shot, so it won't be an and one opportunity for the Trojans. 2:47 left in the first half. Andrew Mile with Wally McCormick. Thank you for joining us on the Region Sports Network as Hoosier Hysteria starts today. Game 1 of Sectional 2 in the 4A. And that was an incredible take. Addison Pack.
Yeah, Pack's got some quickness. She's a sprinter on the track team. She's somebody that's going to help them in the future. And being forced to do that tonight.
Pack, a sophomore, showing off the speed and the ability to finish with a hand in her face. Kincaid on the block. She's being triple teamed. One more pass. Corner 3. No luck for the Vikings. Out of bounds. It'll stay with the Vikings as Boryanski was the last to touch it.
See, and that's, it happens again. They get dribble penetration. Defense is forced to rotate. Valpo does a good job of recognizing it. Make the extra pass on the perimeter. They didn't make it that time, but it's good offense.
It's worked for them all season long. Barnes in the corner. 2 players there trying to steal the ball, and Chesterton will be called for another foul.
Lily's got the whole package. She's got the hesitation. She's got the crossover. And she does a really good job of lowering her shoulder underneath the defensive shoulder so she beats people off the dribble going through their body instead of around them.
Barnes, the candidate for being a McDonald's All-American.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I don't know how many. I know we've had a few over the years, but the region hasn't had a lot of McDonald's All-Americans, and that would be pretty special. A nice feather in her cap for a great career here at Valpo.
She scored 30 in the last game against Munster. Third time she broke 30 this season, and she's battling, missed the shot, cleaned it up.
So strong. She's the biggest girl on the floor right now as a guard. She's 5'11", and she pretty much does what she wants to.
19-point lead for the Vikings. And a steal for Valpo. They've had so many of them. Barnes, Euro step, floater, money.
Well,
smooth as butter for the future Cardinal.
Valparaiso switching defenses again. Now they're trapping out of the zone.
Pack gets around the double team, threw it down low. Kisich missed the shot, and a Chesterton foul.
Yeah, they got Merzen going over the back. She's another freshman that's on the floor here. McGuffey coming in for Boyanski. For Nevaeh Brandon. Shout out to Nevaeh. It's her birthday today. I got her daughter, her little sister in class. She told me that was her birthday. She wanted me to give a shout out for her sister's birthday. So
a little nugget of the game for the junior.
Yeah, happy birthday to V.
She's had herself a pretty good junior season.
Yeah, picked up her first offer a couple weeks ago from IU Columbus, I think it was. I'm sure there'll be more to follow.
Corner 3, absolutely buried. Burglar with 2 threes in this second quarter. 24-point game. Pack back out, lost, throwing up, no.
Yeah, Chesterton's really struggling to get a shot off.
Barnes bumping with bodies as she trips over her own feet, and they call it for a travel. It'll be a Vikings turnover with 32.5 seconds left. Chesterton has only been able to score 5 points in this second quarter compared to the 21 from Valparaiso. Back to the top, Kissick.
That's a problem, is it? Chesterton's getting no closer to the basket, and Valpo trapping all over.
They went from one block to the other. Kissick dribbling it back out. They're going to have to hoist up one more shot. McGuffey back to Pack, and the buzzer sounds, and no shot for Chesterton. They're on the wrong side of a 21-5 run for the Vikings in that second quarter. Both teams hitting the halftime locker room. We'll have a commissioner's corner for you. Then we'll be back where me and Wally will talk about the first half and get you ready for the second half. As you're watching the live coverage from the Region Sports Network of the 2026 Indiana Girls Basketball State Tournament on the IHSAA Champions Network.
It's time for the Commissioner's Corner, an exclusive weekly conversation about Indiana high school sports with the commissioner of the IHSAA, Paul Neidig. Now for an up-to-the-minute report about what's happening in the constantly changing world of high school sports, here's Commissioner Paul Neidig.
Welcome into the Commissioner's Corner, our weekly conversation with the commissioner of the IHSAA, Paul Neidig. I'm Brendan King. Paul, always great to be with you. And hey, this last week, snow, ice, that was the name of the game. And, you know, I made this comment, Paul, on Indiana Sports Talk. I was pleasantly surprised with how many games that were actually played last weekend. That's a credit to all the essential workers, the folks at every community school, the teams, the referees. I think we got a lot more action than anticipated. How about you?
Well, we did. And, you know, ADs does such a wonderful job of preparing their communities. And it's like anything else. Next person up, we're going to fix it. We're going to go. And so some games were moved to Friday night to get out in front of the storm. Some games were moved to earlier in the day to try to get out in front of the storms. And then once the weather got here, you know, we watched it snow for several hours, you know, and I do want to give a great shout out to our essential workers that, you know, the police, the people who remove the snow, the city workers, you know, so many people work hard within their communities, the custodial staff at each high school that gets schools ready to go and ready to open back up. And they do a great job. And without all of those essential people, we wouldn't be able to participate anytime this week. But we're getting ready to turn lights back on and go play some more games here the rest of this week.
Yeah, just to follow up, I think that's just a good reminder and example, no matter what sport it is, whether it's in the fall with thunder and lightning with football or, you know, getting around with the snow in the winter. There's a lot of moving parts in all these situations, Paul, that have to go right, and people need to do great jobs to make these things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it only starts with a phone call to say we need to move a game, but then you have to reschedule buses. You also have to make sure that you can find officials to cover the contest if you move it to another date. There are just so many things that go into changing an event, changing a game. And again, it's a tribute to the great people in Indiana who do this work.
All right, Paul, let's talk shop with the girls basketball pairing show happening. Girls basketball state tournament sectionals coming up. Great time of year this February, anticipating a good tournament.
Yeah, we are. We had a great draw show on this past weekend, and, you know, we're ready to roll. You know, they say at this time of year where I come from, the hay's in the barn. You know, they've had their tune-ups, they've worked hard, and now they're going to see if all that work this year leads to success in the tournament. And you know, some of the things it will not. We know that. So half the teams in Indiana get beat on the first night, but, you know, one thing we're so proud of are the enduring lessons that stay with our teams and the things that they learn with an education-based coach that lead them through the rest of their life.
A couple weeks ago, Paul, we were talking about the girls wrestling state finals and how much of a success that was. Boys wrestling coming up. So how do you guys look at what you did with girls wrestling and apply to what's coming up with the boys wrestling side?
Well, I think, you know, we certainly see the successes of the girls tournament, and, you know, the boys have enjoyed that success for quite a while. And so, you know, I think it kind of works the other way for us. I mean, we look at what we've done in the boys season traditionally, and we've applied that to the girls, but we also have to make sure we recognize the difference in each sport. And certainly the boys tournament's different than the girls, and they each have their own their own day. And we're ready to run a boys tournament kicking off this Saturday. So there will be a lot of great wrestling across the state come this Saturday.
And coming up within the next month, the boys and girls swimming state tournaments, state finals coming up just in less than a month. You know, I think swimming swimming and diving, one of the more unique things that you guys do, and one of the more special things that you guys do. Can you talk about the process of, you know, getting everything reserved for the swimming and diving state finals and what that means to you?
Well, first of all, Indiana is blessed with incredible athletic facilities. That's just what we do in Indiana. And the auditorium at IU Indy's campus is second to none when it comes to a facility, and our kids get to celebrate their state championship there. And so Carrie Rosati in our office is actually, I left her office a little bit ago. She's working hard on her swimming tournament coming up here, and we're excited to be able to offer that. And one of the things about our boys and girls swimming is there's almost every year another Olympian born. That comes through our state tournament, and we're excited to see who the next person is going to be that may be an Olympian for us in the future.
Paul, stay safe with the weather. Always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Brendan, thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Commissioner's Corner with IHSAA Commissioner Paul Neidig, and thank you for your continued support of the high schools in your community.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
Four Seasons Mechanical proudly serves Northwest Indiana, providing quality, reasonably priced, reliable service. With a quality and comfort guarantee, the professionals at Four Seasons Mechanical offer a wide range of services in heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whether it's residential or commercial, Four Seasons Mechanical is there 24/7. To find out more, the website is fourseasonsmechanical.com or give them a call at 219-756-7020. Four Seasons Mechanical, your indoor air quality specialist.
IBEW Local 697 isn't just wiring buildings. We're woven into the very fabric of Northwest Indiana. We're your neighbors. Our kids go to school with yours. We stand in the same bleachers cheering for the same high school teams. When you hire a union electrician, you're not just getting the highest quality work, you're supporting our community. IBEW Local 697, proudly powering our own.
Old Man Winter is just around the corner, and that means temperatures will soon begin to drop. And a region winter is not the time to be left out in the cold. The professionals at Economy Electric Heating and Cooling can tune up that old furnace or install a new unit that can last for years. Your family deserves to stay comfortable this winter, and with 24/7 emergency service, comfort is just a phone call away. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, 219-923-4441. Or for more info, the website is forajobdoneright.com.
Again, that forecast is brought to you by our friends at Economy Electric Heating and Cooling. Tonight's forecast, it's a chilly one. It's 23, feels like 16. That's the Tuesday night forecast brought to you by Economy Electric Heating and Cooling. Keep you cool in the summer and cozy in the winter. Be sure to stay connected with all things Region Sports by supporting and following us on social media. We're always active on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and online at regionsports.com. Celebrating over 25 years, we're proud to still be the only game in town. Andrew Mild with Wally McCormick as we get ready to come out of the halftime break and get ready for the second half. And Wally, that second quarter was a definition of old-fashioned butt-whooping as Valparaiso outscored Chesterton 21-5, and Chesterton had more turnovers than points.
Yeah, and if you look going into the game, Coach Kratz said that they needed to do a good job of communicating against ball screens and dribble handoffs because Chesterton does a lot of those. Their traps have been so successful that Chesterton hasn't been able to get into anything that resembled a half-court offense. Foul-wise, I think Valparaiso's playing super aggressive. They got a couple people with fouls, but nothing that's substantial right now. Valpo's doing a good job of switching defenses. Chesterton's struggling a little bit to identify all the different presses that Valparaiso's running, and first half's all Vikings.
Don't forget that the winner of this game will play on Friday against Hobart. Yeah, as Hobart is 10-12, and then the second game for that Friday will be Portage versus Maryville to see who goes on to the sectional final. And this is a sectional that's been ran by Valpo the last 3 years, and you can see why. And Wally, for Chesterton, what do they need to do to get back in this if they have a fighting chance against this Vikings team?
Well, let's say they shoot out of their mind.
Yes.
You got to get shots off.
Yes.
And you know, too many possessions in the first half for Chesterton have been possessions where you don't even get a shot off. You know, they've turned the ball over in the backcourt a few times against the pressure. You know, they got to be better against the pressure.
And how many possessions ended before they even crossed the half-court line due to the Valparaiso communication and deflections?
Yep.
And for Candy Wilson, she was being very adamant in how frustrated she was by her team's performance in that first half, and who can really blame her?
And it's one of those situations, and it was very similar to this back in December when they played the first time. Valparaiso is bigger and stronger. It's an older, more mature team that's just physically kind of having their way right now with Chesterton. Chesterton coming back with their starters, McGuffey, Van Cly, who's got 3 fouls, Nevaeh Brandon, Reese Dilbeck, and Ella Boyansky. The Vikings counter with their starting 5 as well.
Lily Barnes scored 13 points in that first half with a good amount of rebounds and facilitated a few assists.
Let's see Chesterton come out man-to-man.
Feeding the post that they have been. In and out game. Out for a 3 on the right side. It's off the back iron.
All right, so if you're Chesterton, you got to get stops, but you got to turn those stops into points at the other end.
And there's the frustrating part for Chesterton. Not too much dribbling, a lot of overhead passes.
Yeah, this half-court trap for Valpo has been really good.
It's heaved up by McGuffey. It strikes iron. Lily Barnes corrals in the loose ball. Good one-handed pass as Kincaid takes a stroll down the lane.
Yeah, finish with the left hand. Beautiful.
26-point game.
One more.
Brandon McGuffey, and they cross half court to Van Clay.
And so when you're getting pressed by a team, you know, what you'd like to do is break the press and go shoot layups. And Valparaiso's did a good job of, even when Chesterton breaks the press, being able to get back and set up their half-court defense.
Boyansky missed the runner, and Boyansky steals the ball away from Clark. And then a travel as Dilbeck got the ball, put on the brakes, and traveled a little.
Yeah, and I think she thought about going up court to Boyansky, and somebody got in the passing lane, so tried to regroup and dragged her foot a little bit.
So many Chesterton travels tonight. Vikings lead by 26.
And you know, here's the thing. You know, Chesterton's 15-7, right? They won a whole lot. They won more games than anybody else in the sectional. And I think that Valparaiso is just that good. I mean, there's 2 really good games in the region tonight. You know, obviously this one is Valparaiso is the number 1 ranked team probably in the region. And then over at Munster, you got Munster and Crown Point, or Morton and Crown Point. And, you know, Morton's 19-1 and beat Crown Point in the season. So that'll be a good one over there at Munster as well. And
yeah, you looked at these 2 teams. The Vikings were 2-0 against Portage and Maryville, and then for Chesterton, they were 3-0 against the remaining teams. The only loss were these Vikings.
Yeah.
Some would say this is the sectional championship on day 1.
Well, if it is, the Vikes look pretty good.
Yes. As a foul will be called, the Vikings winning the last 2 DAC championships, regional titles, and all after a coaching change with Kelly Kratz coming over. She's 39-10 with the Vikings.
Yeah, it's a good start.
First one goes down for Barnes.
And I'm sure that the Valparaiso faithful are unhappy with how the season ended last year. You know, you win the sectional, that's great. You win the regional, that's great. And then they got blasted in the semi-state. So I'm sure that going into the offseason and all through this season, that the Vikings want to get an opportunity to get back to that level and have a chance to have a little better showing than they did last year in the semi-state.
And for the Vikings, as they're the transition 3, and it's too much on it. Offensive rebound, tossed in. Boyansky. For the Vikings, their 2 losses are 2 teams ranked within the top 6. Warsaw and Hamilton Southeastern.
Yeah, and Hamilton Southeastern, I believe, was the team that beat them last year in the semi-state, so they're loaded. And Warsaw is a tough place to play. I don't know if you've ever been to that gym.
No.
It's It's kind of like Laporte's gym on steroids. It's a really cool gym. It's a really good basketball community. They love basketball there. They fill the gym for boys game and girls games. It's a neat place to play and a tough place to play.
And the Vikings weren't blown out in either one of those games. They were pretty close, tight games. Foul called down low. It's on Boyansky.
Yeah, rebounding has been a huge advantage thus far for Valparaiso.
What you expected it to be, just looking at the stats, and for Candy Wilson and the Chesterton faithful, you were hoping that the script would be flipped. And early on, it was Reese Delbeck getting a lot of offensive rebounds, second looks for Chesterton. But since they haven't got any shots up, they haven't even got chances at one look. There's a nice block.
Boyansky from behind.
Boyansky with a couple of nice defensive plays. They try to find Boyansky, and the ball was tipped away. Brown corralled it. Kincaid.
Wow.
Throw it up in the air and went off the glass. A bit of a tie-up, no foul called. McGuffey taking it off the dribble. She misses the shot. She's on the ground. Numbers for Valpo right now. Barnes fouled.
Yeah, and that's Van Cly's fourth.
As Van Clyde grabbed her.
Nice hesitation by Lily. You know, she's influencing people with her eyes, then crosses over and comes back.
Well, you mentioned it for Lily Barnes. We had said in the first quarter it felt like she was more facilitating than attempting to score the rock. And you said that she would still find a way to 20 points.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she's up to 17 now with another free throw to go. So it's very quiet, 20, but you'll gladly take it every time if you're the Valparaiso Vikings.
Well, she affects the game in so many ways.
Yes.
And you know, part of it, I'm sure, is how she works at practice and how she works in the weight room. And those kind of things rub off. When your best player is your hardest worker, that's a good thing. And this senior class, you know, the three girls that play a ton for them with Finn Cannon and Clark, these are basketball junkie kids that really work at the game. And, oh, boy.
Good pass and a good shot with the foul. Kincaid to the line for a three-point play.
And so Valparaiso lines up in a kind of a box set with Chesterton in a 2-3 zone, and both the girls on the bottom pop out to the corner, which vacated two of the bottom three, and then they're going to run a little X action with their two post players, and it's 2-on-1 on the post.
And listen, back to that point about Barnes and how she contributes in many different ways. This season, out of the 22 games, she had 9 triple-doubles in high school basketball. And she was a steal away from a quadruple-double. She finished with 9 to go with the 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists.
Yeah, Ball State's getting a good one.
That's what she'll be heading after this season. Try to bring in some more hardware at Valparaiso before it's all said and done. 31-point game for the Vikings.
That's one of the things that has impressed me about Valparaiso was Cheyenne Brown and Kincaid. You can just see their confidence has grown so much from, you know, last year. You know, they're just so much more aggressive and confident this year with the ball and shooting.
Well, it's just hard when you have a star player like a Barnes. You almost just want to give her the ball and let her go to work. But when everyone eats, as the kids say nowadays, things become a lot easier, where everyone has more energy on defense because they're being able to score the rock. Everyone wants to score. That's the fun part about basketball.
Yep.
And it rubs off on their defense, and that's why they've had such a phenomenal season. Good move. Reese Dilbeck putting some Vikings defenders through the rinse cycle.
And Dilbeck's having herself a decent game here.
And that puts Dilbeck up to 7 points. And a timeout will be burned by the Vikings. The 30-second timeout will stay here with 3:07 to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, so now it becomes Kelly's drawn up a set play over there and trying to anticipate what defense Candy's going to come out in.
And that's what you were mentioning, how many of these coaches from both sides have crossed over. You could see a few times where they know each other's tendencies before it even happens.
Yeah, and it's, you know, you watch these games long enough, and Valparaiso's ran 3 different set plays. All 3 of those set plays are plays that I've seen Chesterton. Everybody's doing the same stuff. As much as coaches sometimes as we like to think we got tricks and we got secrets, the game's really simple. If you put it in the basket, you got a chance to win.
Yes.
And it helps when you got people that can put it in the basket. And, of course, if you can put it in the basket and defend, like Valparaiso can, then you got a chance for something special. So
you also got to remember that these Vikings players, as older they are, as you mentioned, were coached for the first couple of years by Candy Wilson, so they learned the press through her.
Yeah, and I've been in a situation before when I left Andringen and went to Hobart, and you go back to Andringen to play against those kids. It's very difficult. I know from an emotional standpoint that, and this isn't, Candy's a veteran. She's got 400 wins. But it's got to be a bit awkward.
Delbeck, offensive glass and foul, going up for the putback. She'll go back to the charity stripe. Even in baseball aspect for our viewers, a catcher usually has an upper hand against pitchers if they caught them before, so they understand what their pitch looks like and how it moves and what they're going to go to in certain counts. And we're seeing that here because even earlier, you saw Chesterton go into that 1-3-1, and Valpo ran the perfect set play for it, and it led to a Lily Barnes layup from underneath the basket, uncontested.
Yeah, and in most sports, it's the same. Jimmies and Joes beat X's and O's, and it doesn't really matter what you're doing. It's how well you do it. And coaches may verbalize it and call some things a little bit different, but the game's pretty simple.
Barnes got the pass down low, and it was swatted away by Reese Delbeck, who's starting to become a one-woman wrecking crew in this third quarter for Chesterton. We're going to give them some life before the fourth. 2:24 on the clock. Inbound it from behind the basket.
Yeah, and what you're seeing right now from Chesterton's got 4 sophomores and a freshman on the floor. These are good minutes for those kids, those young kids, because next year they're going to be, 4 juniors and a sophomore.
And there's one thing, too, that you're getting to this experience, but you're also facing a team that's been here before, and you see how confident they are, how cool they are under pressure. Because you're playing in your home gym, there's pressure to come with that when you have to defend your home court against your bitter rival that's not too far away from you.
Yeah, and when you come out and hit 4 threes in the first quarter, you feel a little better. The basket's looking a little bit bigger. And, well, that's Delbeck's 4th.
Lily Barnes to the line, already up to 17 points.
Chesterton's going to take out a sophomore and replace her with a freshman.
For Chesterton, even their top 4 scorers are underclassmen, freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah, this is a game that Coach Wilson and her staff are going to use to point going forward that, the next time you don't feel like going to weights, remember this day. And the next time you don't feel like doing your ball handling drills or whatever it would happen to be, if you want to be at this level, this is what it takes. And so it's a good learning experience.
Barnes, beautiful pass. Sedovich with the 2-point layup with the right hand. 30-point game.
Great job getting the defender to come to you. A little pocket bounce pass for a layup.
Barnes is a hard player to beat once she starts getting downhill. Pack splits the defenders, throws it off the window. And as Cheyenne Brown hits the ground, she's slow to get up.
You don't want to see that.
When you're up 28 points with about 9.5 minutes to go, the last thing you want to see is one of your starters get hurt. At this point, everyone just needs to escape this game healthy. Barnes brings it up the floor.
Chesterton switched to the 1-3-1.
Valparaiso will go to the line, already entering the bonus. As Allison Sedovich, who just scored on that fast break pass from Lily Barnes, will go to the line for 2. At 7 o'clock, we'll have another game. It's a doubleheader on the Region Sports Network. Hammond Morton versus Crown Point. Morton, as Wally talked about earlier, has had a fantastic season, and for Crown Point, they finished 7th in the DAC. In between these two teams, you're seeing right now Valparaiso and Chesterton.
Yeah, and I don't believe Morton lost to an Indiana team. I think the only loss they had was to I want to say Whitney Young or a team from Chicago. So Morton's going to be a tough out.
One part about IHSAA girls tournament is that the draw can be either your friend or it can be your foe.
Yeah, and I thought a lot about that going into this week and saying, if I'm Chesterton, do I want to play Valparaiso in the first game, or do I want to get an easy draw and work my way to the championship? I mean, some people would say, yeah, you made it to the sectional championship game. That's a good thing. At the end of the day, nobody cares. Nobody remembers who got second in the sectional. So I guess it's all just a question of perspective on how many days do you have to prepare. With this game being on a Tuesday.
Barnes hoists it from the left wing, gets iron. And a battle for the ball leads to a foul on Sedovich.
Yeah, her and Macy Pack both hustling, getting after the ball.
I think for Chesterton in that point, they knew that on the road to a sectional championship, at some point they're going to have to run into Valparaiso. So might as well play it the first game, get it over with.
And everybody knows that.
Oh, yes.
If you're Portage and Maryville, you're happy with your draw because that's a game that you're both looking at and saying you could win. And when you're trying to rebuild the program or you're playing with young people, sometimes being able to tell them, hey, you advanced to the sectional finals is a motivating factor.
The third quarter has a buzzer sound, and the Vikings are 8 minutes away from winning their 10th straight contest. We will step aside as you're watching Game Night on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I've received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
Calling all current and future homeowners in the Northwest Indiana area. Whether you're buying or selling, Brent Wright is here to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. With years of experience, personalized service, and a deep knowledge of the market, Brent will help you find the perfect place or get the best deal for your property. Call today at 219-406-7195 and take the first step towards your real estate goals. Contact Brent Wright, the right way to buy and sell real estate.
You're watching Chesterton Trojan basketball on the Region Sports Network, presented locally by George's Original Euro Spot in Chesterton. Dine in, pick up, or drive through. Call 219-926-5435. The Original George's Euro Spot. Andrew Mild joining me, Wally McCormick, as the fourth quarter has started, and the Vikings are up 30. Set play, Kissick scores early.
Good possession. Valpo came out in man, and Chesterton was able to get something going. So then they got Kissick at the top of this 1-3-1.
Kissick on the board for tonight's game. Barnes with 18. Kincaid going down the lane. Had a good move in the post. Missed the bunny from down low. Wrestled away the rebound. Missed the shot as it tipped away and falls into the arms of Macy Pack.
So we're identify the defense here. It's man-to-man. A flare cut.
Three-point ball drilled by Novea Brandon.
2 possessions in a row, both against man-to-man.
Chesterton scoring 5 points to open up the fourth. Some good set plays. Kincaid, bad pass. Kissick with the steal.
If you're Chesterton right now and their coaching staff, let's win the quarter.
Van Clay from another area code, and it gets the back iron. Brown brings it down for Valpo. Football pass to the other side.
Yeah, and Valparaiso does a good job of screening the middle of that 1-3-1, so they end up getting some numbers advantages on the baseline.
Clark, the dribble, and it's pure. She gets the three-pointer. As Valparaiso responds with their own three.
Yeah, and as much as people talk about Lily Barnes, and it is well-deserved, don't get me wrong, but Cadence Clark's a really good player, a really good athlete, going to go play next year at Grace.
And she's averaging 11 points in the last 4 games, shooting 7 for 20 from 3. A runner with the left hand. Macy Pack misses the shot.
Good luck.
Push down. Barnes misses the easy layup. Oh, well, that would have gotten her to 20 on the night.
Great outlet pass and great hustle by Fincannon there to get the tap out from the back. You know, when you transition, you want to get a rim runner, right? And Lily Barnes ran down the lane. She was going to be the rim runner. They hit her with the pass. She just didn't finish. But I'm sure Coach Kratz is happy with the transition from defense to offense there.
Yeah, Barnes had the awareness once that shot was missed and it was collected by Valpo. She took off. And Valpo's looking for that. You saw the rebound instantly look up. And 5 seconds called. Chesterton turnover.
And Candy Wilson's, I think, trying to call a timeout, or she's unhappy about something.
Candy Wilson, her second year back at her alma mater. She was a multi-sport athlete at Chesterton. Brown steps into a 3, too long. Barnes secures it off the iron and floats it back in, and Lily Barnes has herself yet another 20-point game.
Yep, and offensive rebounds will kill you. Second chance points. Valpo doesn't. I mean, look how high that Chesterton has to initiate their offense against this man. And nice pass.
Lily Barnes can do no wrong. The steal, the spin move, the pass. Cheyenne Brown, the recipient of a gorgeous look from Lillian Barnes.
Yep, and a good job by Cheyenne Brown filling the lane on the opposite block.
Brown, a quiet 5 points on the night. She did a lot of good things for her team. Brandon from the elbow. Line drive shot missed.
Nice
pass down low. Kincaid Euro, and the shot went down, but wave it off. A travel on the junior.
Yeah, and that's a pretty nice pass.
It's where she puts it, too. She understands that the placement of the ball is very important. Small details for Lily Barnes.
Yeah, and that's a 3/4 court chest pass on the money. That's not everybody does that.
Barnes contests the shot, gets the miss.
Good, that's Macy Pack, a freshman. She's not afraid to try to attack Lily.
Three-pointer from the wing, and nothing but net.
Katie's going to get hot.
Clark, 9 points. That's her second 3 in this fourth quarter. 35-point lead for the Vikings. Crossover. Boyanski left it for Van Clay, and the ball rolls away from Dilbeck.
Are we in the, are we running clock here? There are Valpo wholesale changes.
35 points in the second half is when that clock starts running.
Yeah, and you know, the reality of these sectional games is for you know, two girls at Chesterton at least, because they only have 2 seniors, that this is probably the last basketball game that they're ever going to play in their life. It's an emotional time. The tournament's emotional for everybody, especially the seniors that don't want to take off that jersey and never put it on again. Some of these girls are going to be fortunate enough to go play college basketball, but for most, this is it.
And that's the rough part about this job, Wally, is that we get to come back and broadcast basketball on Friday and Saturday, but we have to see these teams hang up their shoes on a fantastic 2025-2026 season.
Macy Pack with another aggressive take to the basket, just not able to finish. But
yeah, this Chesterton team, their young players have really shown that they are fearless. And
well, and the question now is, okay, what are you going to do between now and next year?
Yes.
You know, and nowadays Nevaeh pulling up the three. But, nowadays, that's a year-round commitment. Year-round commitment in the weight room and with your nutrition. And, the girls are, as each team respectively starts to lose or start going off to their AAU programs. And, and some of them are going to other sports. Van Clyde, for example, she'll be at track practice tomorrow. That's the kind of kid she is. And good to see Addison Glossinger, the other senior for Chesterton, in the game. She's a 5'11" senior post player.
You get that point for Chesterton is this is the game they're going to remember once summer rolls around. If I'm Candy Wilson, I am taking a snapshot of the max prep score and hanging it where it can be seen. And so you remember how that felt?
Yep.
And it's been a long one for Chesterton, but certainly a good building year for Candy Wilson, ending her second year as a head coach of these Trojans. As a lot of their fans will wait in anticipation to see how these freshmen and sophomores that had good years build off of it after a year of maturity and a year of growth.
Yeah, and you use it as a measuring stick, right? Here's where we're at right now. That's where we need to be. What can we do from now on, till this time next year to raise our level?
One of those seniors, Glossinger, just got a rebound, and Nevaeh Brandon fills in the cup.
And Nevaeh's scored quite a few points here in the second half.
The Vikings, for them, they'll have a date with Hobart on Friday. In the sectional semifinals, missed three. Grab, foul, clock still running though. We're under 50 seconds and starting to see some fans head for the exits.
Yep. Well, and it's, for Chesterton, they're seeing Allison Van Clyde hugging the coaching staff. She's been in the program all 4 years. Great kid, great representative of the program. And, her and her parents, nice pass.
Good play. 2 more points for the Vikings. That was Nicola for Valpo. Brandon attempting another runner. Almost got jammed. Ball rolls out, and with the ball rolling to the other side of the hardwood, that will do it. Both teams rise from the benches. And they'll head to the scorer's table to high-five one another as the Valparaiso Vikings win by a final of 63-31. They improve to 21-2. Their win streak has reached double digits, 10 consecutive wins for the Vikings, and they'll be back in action in their home gym on Friday against the Hobart Brickies. They're 2 wins away from winning their 4th straight sectional championship. Quick break here, and then we'll come back, hand out some awards, some thank yous, and wrap up tonight's broadcast as you're watching Game Night on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
At Blyce, we're used to having the athlete shop at our store.
Down, sit, put.
But sometimes they get carried away. Blyce, this is where the athlete shops.
When it comes to your money, you deserve more than just numbers on a page. You deserve someone who sees the full picture. Meet Mark Machnick, one of Northwest Indiana's most trusted accounting professionals. Whether you're running a business, planning for retirement, or just trying to make sense of tax season, Mark Machnick, located in Highland, makes it simple, personal, and believe it or not, painless. Contact Mark and his team today at 219-595-5290. Mark Machnick, CPA.
Located in the heart of downtown Indianapolis, the newly renovated Hampton Inn is within walking distance to over 30 restaurants and attractions, including Lucas Oilfield and Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Hampton Inn has much to offer, including a hot breakfast, high-speed internet access in every room, as well as a fitness center. Why wait? Make your reservations today. Call 317-261-1200 or make them on the web at hamptonin3.hilton.com. Hampton Inn, Indianapolis, downtown.
At American Testing Services, based in Hobart, Indiana, we specialize in NDT drone inspections and heat treatment services for local mills, fab shops, and facilities across the country. From Northwest Indiana to nationwide, we deliver precision, safety, and reliability. American Testing Services, America's trusted name in NDT.
The secret to making life better is found at Duffy's Place in Valparaiso, Indiana. Duffy's Place is open 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. daily with delicious beverages and great tasting food. The staff at Duffy's Place loves what they do and they love their customers. If you want some choices of great food, including wings, burgers, pierogies, great live music, and great people in both the staff and customers, this is the place for you. Stop in for a bite and watch your favorite hometown team, Duffy's Place in Valparaiso.
On-Site Generator Solutions is a locally owned and operated power partner for Northwest Indiana homes. With over 14 years of experience, they handle tasks such as generators, residential electric, plumbing, automotive care, and more. You can find them on Facebook. Give them a call at 219-516-6800 or search them up on the web at onsitegeneratorsolutions.com. On-Site Generator Solutions. Power you could count on every time, everywhere.
Welcome back to the Region Sports Network. Andrew Mile with Wally McCormick. The Vikings win 63-31. We're going to hand out some awards. First up, it's the Crown Companies Lantern Man Superhero of the Game. Crown Companies, the business professionals. And Wally, this was an easier one for us. Lillian Barnes with 20 points, a lot of rebounds, steals, assists, you name it, she did it tonight. And she's won this award a lot this season.
Yeah, she's the leader of the team, and Valparaiso is really tough when they get balanced scoring. They did today, but Lily was exceptional. And you know, you sometimes you take for granted when you watch her play just how hard it is to score 20 points and get 10 rebounds in a game, and she does it over and over again and has been for 4 years. And she'll go down here when her career's over as one of the best, or in the discussion of girls basketball players ever to play at Valparaiso High School, and that's something here because it's a lot of years of being a really good program.
Well, not only would she walk away with the Lantern Man Superhero of the Game, she'll also walk away with the Proud to Be Union Play of the Game. That is sponsored by Ironworkers Local 395. For more information on the apprenticeship program, check out ironworkers395.com. And Wally was that long pass she made during the course of this game.
Yeah, she made a couple of great outlet passes up and one-handed passes off the dribble diagonal. She's so strong and has good vision, and she's a nice player. You can't say enough about her. But I think, you know, the thing that impresses me the most about Valpo is, you know, Cadence Clark, really good three-point shooter, defends really well. Finn Cannon's got her role. She's a nightmare, a tornado on defense. And Cheyenne Brown and Delilah Kincaid, their confidence is soaring right now. You see them attempting three-point shots and banging underneath the basket. They're going to be a tough out for somebody.
They'll be going up against Hobart on Friday with a chance to return to the sectional title game and an attempt to win their fourth in a row. The final award is the Blue Collar Player of the Game, and that is sponsored by Boilermakers Local 374. Earn while you learn with Boilermakers Local 374. And Wally, you and I both said this name when it came down to this award.
Yeah, Reese Delbeck battled. You know, she's undersized to be playing in the post. She's probably a guard that is forced to play down in the paint a little bit for Chesterton due to their lack of size. But she a couple crafty, nice little spin move there and got after it and got some offensive rebounds. She had a really good first half, and you know, unfortunately got in foul trouble. But that's something that happens when you're dealing with some of those older veteran players that are tough to defend.
Well, if you haven't gotten your basketball fix in, go ahead and turn on over to Hammond Morton versus Crown Point. A thrilling matchup going on tonight, not besides this one between Valpo and Chesterton. Some thank yous for management, executive producer Chris Ramirez, operations manager Rich Castillo, coordinating producer Zach Miller, it's Miller with two eyes, and the sports director himself, Mike DeLon. Special thanks go to Candy Wilson, the coach of Chesterton, and Kelly Kratz of Valparaiso, and the athletic directors Jeff Hamster at Chesterton and Stacy Adams here at Valparaiso. And of course, to our viewers at IHSAA Champions Network and YouTube and Facebook. For our camera operator, Paul Vila, our producer, Zach Zanelli, my partner, Wally McCormick, I've been Andrew Mile. This has been Game Night on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
This broadcast is made possible by Strack & Van Til, your favorite Indiana-made grocery store. Ironworkers Local 395, proud to be union. Four Seasons Mechanical, quality and comfort is our guarantee. Boilermakers Local 374, earn while you learn. IBEW Local 697, proud to support high school sports. Bricklayers Local 4, the best hands in the business. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, keeping you cool in the summer and cozy in the winter. The Right Group, the right way to buy and sell real estate.